Noel, are you excited for this? We'll bring on
Couldn't be more
Jeff,
excited.
the
Bye,
420
guys.
chef. Bye, guys. We'll see you soon. All right,
Swoop.
I'm going to let you all take it away. Jeff, happy 420, my friend. You too, Noel.
Happy 420, everybody. Happy 420.
Jeff bringing up the rear once again.
You don't know what you're saying there.
So what do I have in my hand here? You recognize this book?
Yeah. That is my first cookbook. Working on my second one already. The art of the elevated cannabis cuisine. The 420
Beautiful.
Gourmet.
Beautiful. So I got to say, I never thought you would come and do my event with me. Number one, because it's 420 and I figured you were really busy and I probably called too late. And then I was like, I wonder if we could also get him to come at 4:20 p.m. And I'm like, there's no way. And you agreed to come. So it's you made my day. Thank you for that. Also, I got to say, before we ever met, technically we haven't met yet. We've only talked on Zoom and on the phone. I was a big fan of yours because I appreciate what you do more than you know. There are a lot of people that are trying to do what you do and think they do what you do, but they actually don't at all. And I would never ask any of them to be on a food service Zoom, but I would ask you because I feel like in so many ways you've been pointing toward what is the future for food, for cannabis, for entertainment, for medicine, if you will. I'm not a doctor, neither are you, but I'll just use that term loosely. And I also think that the process that you've been developing for God knows how long is really important to what we're all trying to do here, because I think like so many people, you're just doing what you love and what you're passionate about, and it just comes out in your product. So we don't have enough time for me to keep going on and on about how much I love what you do. So I'll let you speak for yourself, sir.
I really appreciate that, Noel. Thank you so much. It's pretty awesome. Thank you for having me on your show. Actually, when the your email came across, I looked at it, looked you up, and I was like, of course I'm going to be on this show because what you do is exactly the same sort of thing that I do, except you do it in pizza and I do it with cannabis, and there's a lot of things that happen around 420 and I'm always busy. I have another dinner tonight, but it's not a big deal. I mean, of course it's a big deal. Everything's a big deal, but at the end of the day, this is something I think is important. And I want people in the mainstream and specifically in the food service industry to know what's coming, to know it's available, and, to be able to be part of something like this outside of the cannabis world, to me is incredible. So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of things to talk about. Make sure that you let people know about an oregano because it's one of the products that you're working on that I'm super excited about because I've seen people doing cannabis and pizza dough and pizza the wrong way for so many years. And you've really shined a light on so many like tiny little parts of the puzzle that make it right. So there's a lot for you to cover, I know, but I want you to, if you can, just kind of explain to people like what your background is, where you come from, what your approach is, why it's different, and how we can learn something about what you do and also make pizza a better place in the world.
Yeah, so I've been cooking for pretty much my entire life, cooking with cannabis since I was about, I'm going to say college, but legally, officially, since about 2012. I started cooking for some people in my family. One person was ill. My best friend's mother was also ill, both with terminal cancer. They wanted to medicate with cannabis. They didn't want to smoke. They wanted edibles, but they hated the taste. So they basically challenged me to remove the taste, figure out a way to remove the taste of the cannabis from the edibles, which I was thankfully able to do, although unfortunately they never got to try it. My mission has always been to make cooking with cannabis simple and easy for everyone. And every single thing that I've done up to this point really feeds into that mission. So the first thing was making a tasteless can of oil and can of butter and teaching people how to make something very similar at home, a light tasting can of oil or can of butter. And literally the secret is just cleaning your cannabis. And, basically what you're doing is you're removing the volatile compounds, the terpenes, the chlorophyll and the flavonoids, because those burn off very quickly and leave that bitter aftertaste, but you're leaving in the medicine, the trichomes. So that was the first thing that we did. I teach people how to do that. It takes a couple of days to do it, but it's well worth the effort. You get really clean product out of it that can then be infused into butter or oil. And that was the start of all this. The next thing was my cookbook. I wrote the 420 Gourmet, and the cookbook actually not only teaches you that process, but also teaches you how to use the final product, the can of butter or can of oil, in your recipes. And if you follow the instructions, there's also a little sidebar in each recipe that tells you just how potent each and every item is. That's on the cannabis side. But even more importantly is the CBD side and the hemp side. And I think that, especially in the food service industry, CBD is going to be coming very quickly. It's already in a lot of establishments. The new Farm Bill has made it a lot easier for us to be able to work with CBD, specifically in food service. And, I'll just break it down really quickly. CBD and THC are the main components of the hemp and cannabis plant. Hemp and cannabis are sister plants, but hemp has a much higher percentage of CBD and a very low percentage of THC, and cannabis has a very high percentage of THC and a very low percentage of CBD. Now, what do these do for you? People always ask, well, what's CBD going to do for me that THC is not going to do, or vice versa? Well, for starters, CBD, cannabidiol, is non-psychoactive. THC, tetrahydrocannabinol, is psychoactive. So if you have a CBD edible, or if you have CBD in your food, you're not going to get high from it. If you have cannabis with THC in your food, you're going to get high from it. All right. CBD is neuroprotective, right? THC is a relaxant. CBD has been shown to be an anticonvulsant. I don't know if people out there know the story about Charlotte Figi, but you could look it up. She was a little girl, unfortunately passed away about a year ago from COVID. But Charlotte Figi really shined the light on CBD and THC, stopping her seizures. She was having seizures since she was an infant. They stopped her seizures. Sanjay Gupta brought her on CNN and proved it. And people start to talk about CBD and all the wonderful properties and medicinal things that it could actually do to help people. It's also an antioxidant, it's antipsychotic, it's anti-inflammatory. They say it shrinks tumors and it can kill cancer cells, and there's minimal side effects. Whereas with THC, it's a relaxant. It will stimulate your appetite. It can cause drowsiness, or it can cause a little more focus depending on what you use. And it will produce a sense of euphoria. But on the other side of it, it could also, if you're not careful, it could produce effects like paranoia and anxiety. So you've got to be careful on those two things. CBD, though, and hemp are a big focus for us right now. So what I did, and you mentioned no oregano earlier, I figured out a way to not only remove the compounds responsible for the odor and taste of the cannabis or the hemp, but then through a process rooted purely in molecular gastronomy, without the use of chemicals or additives, I'm able to make that cannabis taste like any herb or spice I want without the heat. So I can do, for example, cinnamon, but I can't do cayenne pepper, but I can make it taste, for example, like oregano. So you mentioned it earlier. Here is our first product. It's called No Oregano. And I'm going to show you what this looks like. This is 100% hemp that smells and tastes like oregano. As a matter of fact, we brought it into Joe's Pizzeria on Sunset. And I said, what do you think of this? He goes, wow, that's amazing oregano. I said, no, it's 100% hemp. The guy, the pizza maker, flipped out. Let me show you what it looks like, just so you can see how beautiful this is. All right, can you see that? Let me see here. Hold on a second. My background.
You might have to remove your background.
Yeah, let me see how I could do that. Hold on a second.
You have a weed beard, mustache.
Happy 420,
Yeah, happy 420. Exactly.
It is happy 420. Oh my God, I'm sorry about that. I don't know how to do that actually.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know if you can see this or not, but that. Let me bring that up a little. There you go.
We cannot
see that.
No. No, we cannot. We see grass on a plate. It looks like weeds.
You know, the light must have just changed here.
The light definitely changed. You are tripping me out. I thought I was eating a Cliff Bar. Well, who spiked my Cliff Bar?
Can you guys see that inside?
No, we can't see anything. You're crazy. It's just, all right, let me hallucinating right now. This. Yeah, Justin, will you explain to him how to do that?
It's right next to the start video down in the bottom left-hand corner. Go to that little arrow and say choose virtual background, and then hit none.
Wait a second. Where's
so
that?
Bottom left is a mute button. Second from that is the stop video.
Little triangle next to the stop video.
There you go.
Hit the little triangle. Just bear with us. If it doesn't happen on Zoom, doesn't really happen. Go up to choose virtual background
Okay.
and then click none.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wait.
All right, guys.
Pay no
Yes.
attention here.
Thank you, guys. And I'm high. It's 4:20. It's my bad. All right, check this out. Can you guys see that? I'm trying to make it so it doesn't fall off the plate.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I can show you probably better in the jar. So that's our
How does it smell?
It smells like amazing oregano. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to stop over to Justin's at Apollonia. He got me super hungry when I was listening to him before, and I'm literally going to go in there and say, "What do you think of our oregano?" and see what he thinks. So
he's awesome.
Yeah, we've definitely taken it to a lot of different pizza places. They cannot believe that it's not oregano, but when they try it, and about half an hour later, they start feeling the effects, whether it's the cannabis or with CBD, you feel a little more clear. You're not going to feel psychoactive effects, but you feel more clear. They just love it. So that's coming out probably in the next 2 weeks on our website. You'll be able to purchase it, and we'll start selling it into stores as well, hopefully around that time.
Do you see the possibility of restaurants being able to serve it?
100%. As a matter of fact, I developed it for the cannabis restaurants and cafes that are going to be opening up in West Hollywood. I got one of the licenses for those restaurants, and because of COVID, we'll see what happens with my spot. But 8 of us got licenses, and I just know that the state is not going to allow us as chefs to infuse food directly and then serve it to our guests. So we have to give our guests a way to infuse their food on their own. So they could use oil, for example, can of oil and just sprinkle it on, or they could take a piece of cannabis infused chocolate and stick it into a fondue. Sure, easy enough to do, but that's not really chefing, and that's kind of taking the easy way out. So what I did is with this culinary, I decided, we needed to invent something a little different. We made this cannabis edible, the same way the hemp is edible. And you feel the effects when you eat it. It's fully decarbed, and it can taste like oregano, rosemary, thyme, basil, cinnamon. So we have Rosemary Jane coming out right after an oregano comes out. We've got our cinnamon and hazy thyme and buzzed basil. So all of these ingredients are something that the guest in the restaurant will be able to get a little 2.5, 5, or 10 pack. The pizza packs that you get with the cheese or the red pepper or the oregano. Now you'll be able to get it with no oregano or rosemary jane, etc., and infuse your meal. So you can literally get a pizza and sprinkle 5 milligrams of our oregano on it, and you get high from the THC, or the same thing with Scarborough Fair, no oregano, the hemp. Or you want to do pan roasted potatoes? Simple, just put the rosemary jane on them. You have rosemary pan roasted potatoes.
Interesting. You seem to be at the forefront here, so I have a question for you. For people who want to go experience this when restaurants are opening, there's Los Angeles County. I assume Oakland is doing something like this. There are counties in Colorado as well. Where should we be looking for direction on who's doing what?
So the only place in Southern California at this point that's doing it, the only 2 places are West Hollywood and Palm Springs. So West Hollywood, hopefully restaurants will start opening the end of this year, early 2022. Palm Springs are already starting to get going. I think before the end of this year, they'll be open as well.
But not yet, because I happen to be going to Palm Springs this weekend.
Not yet, not that I know of. Yeah, I've definitely been approached, but not yet.
All right. So basically, we're going to have to wait for another 9 months or so to see the beginning of this happening. So we're finding out a little early.
Yeah. Most probably, and we're actually looking for partners right now. We're looking for, if we can find a partner to help us with our pre-packing on our no oregano for either on the THC side or on the cannabis hemp side, on the hemp CBD side. We would love that. I think, just getting the oregano into pizzerias all around the country could be humongous, because this is pure hemp CBD. The Farm Bill says you can't serve CBD infused foods, but the Farm Bill doesn't say that you can't serve hemp, which is inherently chock full of CBD. So this is the way around it. You literally give a little packet of oregano to your guests, and they then infuse with CBD. They're on their own.
Interesting. I have a restaurant that I'm working with in it's actually a food hall in El Segundo, and so the one of the principals was on the line earlier, and I'm hoping he's watching right now because I suggested that he stop by and listen to what you have to say. So I'm hoping that I can partner with you at some point and be one of the first
Yeah,
people
I
to get it
appreciate
going.
that, and we'll meet with anybody out there and bring it to them. I think the proof is in the pudding. You need to experience it, and then you're sold. I mean, to get cannabis or hemp that tastes like oregano, it's never been done before.
Yeah. So what since I first started working with this book, right, and I made my own can of butter and can of oil, right? For me, that was groundbreaking because, I mean, I'm 54 years old and I grew up in a generation of people where they just put a bunch of pot into a bunch of brownie mix and it was disgusting, and it got you way too high. So for people who don't have this book or who want to learn more about it, can you kind of explain like how the whole dosing and can of butter and can of oil works so they can maybe begin to like look around? Maybe there's some good resources for them to better understand what's happening in this world.
Yeah, for sure. It's really important when you start to know what you're working with as any ingredient, right? So as a matter of fact, I have a couple of little samples here. So these are two different strains of cannabis, okay? If you can see here, do you see how beautiful those trichomes are on that? Okay, that's very potent, right? This is another strain of cannabis where the trichomes are pretty much almost non-existent, right? It's a much lower potency. So you've got to know, for starters, the potency of your cannabis. That's the most important thing. The next thing you want to figure out is the ripeness of the trichomes, which at every dispensary, they give you a little magnifying glass. You look under the magnifying glass. Trichomes ripen like bananas, right? A banana starts out green and then yellow, and then it goes to yellow, black spots, and then black, right? So compare the trichomes on your cannabis to a banana. When the trichomes are ripe, they're milky, which is a pure yellow banana, right? But before they're ripe, they're glassy, which is like that banana with the green top, right? And when they are overripe or at the end of the ripening cycle, they're amber, sort of like that banana with black spots, right? So if you have trichomes that are amber, it's going to be a lot more relaxing, and it pretty much like put you to sleep for a while, right? On the other side of it, if it's too glassy, it'll be too potent and or like too exciting, you might even get a headache from it. So you want to look at your trichomes that are milky, and if you want a more uplifting effect, you want it to be like 5% glassy, and if you want a more sedative effect, you want it to be a little more amber, right? So if you know those two things, now you can start working with it and creating can of butters and can of oils that you can then use either to make treats for a great dinner party or bedtime snacks, right? That's just the beginning. Once you get through that, and if you go through the process, you remove all the compounds or the majority of the compounds responsible for the taste. So you make great tasting edibles, right? But then you have to understand the potency, and that's very important. So usually a dispensary will tell you the percentage of THC that is in your flower. If you know that, then we have a calculator actually online, but it's also in the book. It's actually an app. So you can get it on iOS or Android. It's called the Thc Calculator. Super simple. You just put in the percentage of THC, the amount of butter or oil that you used, how many servings you're making, and it will tell you precisely, or almost precisely, because you never really 100% sure of the potency, but pretty precisely how potent your can of butter or can of oil is, for example, per teaspoon or per serving. Once you know that, then those are pretty much the tools of the trade.
Unbelievable.
Well, happy 420, everybody. Are you kidding me? I just need to cash out my dog coin before I start investing in the I don't have any dog coin, but I'd love to invest. Jeez Louise, that sounds great. Guys, this is awesome. This is the next phase. This is where we're coming. This is one of the things, dare I say it, the Green New Deal that is flowering or blossoming from this pandemo that we've all been hanging out in. So Jeff, thank you so much. I did put all your info in the old chat there. Not only a place to find the cookbook, but hopefully all the other info as well, your Instagram and all that good stuff. So thank you, bud. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And if you do go down to Justin's at Apollonia's, or you go to Apollonia's, make sure you tag us in that. I want to see that.
Oh,
stuff.
100%. Yeah. I'm going to try it over the next couple of days. I
Awesome.
love his pizza, so I'm excited.
Oh yeah, it's great stuff. So awesome, brother. Awesome.